Hello there, my name is Lisa Turner. I'm a psychic and a channel. In these sessions, what I'm doing is asking my audience to send me through questions that they would like my team to answer so that it gives you a bit of a taste of how I work as a channel with my team and the kind of information that they bring through. So this question that I've been sent is, in the online spiritual and coaching entrepreneur industry, there is a lot of noise nowadays. How can I stand out amongst this noise? Where is this industry heading? Is there any future shifts or trends that you can share? And is having a more conscious approach going to be an important part of this? So let's connect to my team of guides and see what they have to say about this. So first of all, we thank you. We thank you for your time and your presence. It is our absolute honour and privilege to sit here with you and to have the opportunity to be able to speak to you. So yes, this current sort of, it's almost a culture that you see that's really shot up and expanded over the last 10 or 15 years on Earth. What it has been is very much a cultural revolution in one way of people who have been yearning for something more, who are wanting to increase their self-worth, increase their importance. In some people, it's about increasing their ego and increasing their visibility and becoming famous. That is definitely one aspect of it. But for many people, the actual underlying energy with this, it's like a coil that's been like a spring that's been compressed for a very long time, that's just been activated and released. And what the energy of this release is, it's like a push and a drive for people to reach towards self-actualization, for stepping into bigger parts, their self-expression of who they are. And how the people within this culture have obviously chosen to achieve this self-actualization is through the mindset work and through helping other people, what you call the coaching industry. Now, there is a very blurred very blurred sense of constructed meaning that has sort of infiltrated into this collective consciousness, really, of within the coaching world here. There is this very hard, heavy, masculine energy that's very focus driven, very orientation driven, very results driven, but it's also very monetary driven, very driven by monetary outcomes. And there is big structures. The big masculine framework of this whole coaching industry is held on a masculine structure. And this masculine structure, whilst it has played a role for many years, and it has given people like a leg up and a foot up to sort of reach, certain levels of success. If you can imagine a pyramid, right? Imagining a pyramid, and you have like a large base, and there's like a step up to a smaller base, and there's another step and another step and another step. Within this coaching sort of a pyramid, the majority of people, we would say about 75 to 80% of people, get to that first level. So within that first level, they reach a certain extent of confidence, drive, mindset work. For some of them, it's enough. That's for some of them, that's all they needed. They just needed that bit of a shift. They needed that bit of a push to shift them into the next sort of realm, the next almost like personality dimension that they were wanting to unlock. So for many of them, that's where they get off. That's like, yeah, this is enough. I just wanted to see if I could do this. I wanted to push myself. I wanted to develop, some more confidence or some more strength, some more connections. They've many people have sort of found, you know, happiness and contentment at that level. There is a large part that move up to the next where there's a large ego component of it here. A large ego component that says, you know, I have to compete. I have to be as good as the next guy. I have to beat the next guy to the top of the pyramid. I have to work hard, push. You know, and there's a very often within this masculine framework, a very we could say an energy that is more about self-primed, in that it is about priming oneself and pushing oneself for their benefit so that they can get to the next seen level of success, the next perceived level of success. You know, because for a lot of these up the top of the pyramid here is this you know, to be successful, to be truly seen amongst your peers and your followers, to be successful is having this attained, you know, amount of success. You know, the mansion, the holidays, the expensive cars, and things like that. So this is a very masculine structure within the coaching industry. In the last probably 7 to 8, 10 years, you've seen a much stronger feminine energy come through and interweave in and out. She's a very softly spoken, very gentle, more caring, more loving energy, but there's still sort of a feisty aspect that comes in with this. She still very much has this this collective energy. Okay, so when we speak about all of this, we're talking about the collective. We're not talking about everybody specifically. We're talking about, you know, the greater majority of the energy vibration, the collective consciousness of this industry. So the majority of the females within this has been about 50%. It's not a larger proportion as compared to the men, but there's about a 50% of the women have been very driven by, again, a masculine energy of, I want to show them. I want to show the men that I'm as equal as they are. I will use similar techniques and tactics that they are using, but I will shift it into my feminine sort of a way to then sort of show that I have got my own identity and I've got my own uniqueness and my own character, and I can do it my own way, and I have just as much right to earn as much money as anybody else. So for the very sort of large part, this has been like the foundation of this sort of coaching industry for easily like the last 8 to 10 years. So where you are right now in 2023 is this very heavily crowded, you've got a lot of noise at the top of this pyramid of, you know, it's sort of overcrowded. Like if you can imagine that there's, you know, in the beginning, this pyramid, that you would have had less numbers of people trying to climb this pyramid. You know, you would have had, it was much more room to move around, easier for your voice to be heard. Your voice would have echoed across the air. You could have had lots of conversations with people and deep conversations, and people would have heard you. But as the years have come, more and more people have come to climb this pyramid. Currently, as it is now, it's like people scrambling over the top of each other, fighting, pushing, you know, trying to jump from the bottom up to the third step and trying to jump the second step and get into here. So this is where you're starting to see a real, it's becoming very evident and very strong, this mismatch of energy here, in that you have this misalignment, a very large band of energy within this field, within this industry, of a misalignment of energy. Actions aren't matching words. Words aren't matching expertise. Words and energy aren't aligning. Experience isn't matching what they're putting out, because people are trying to jump. They're trying to jump the step and get to that third and the fourth and get to the top faster. So there are some who have done this, but they've done it without having the correct framework within their business and within their own integrity, within their own framework, within their own energetic structure. And they have, many of them have been unable to sustain the level of success that they've got. So that you couldn't imagine that they would have been like a one-hit wonder, in that they would have done one course or one mastermind. They would have perhaps got attracted a lot of people in there because they're using law of attraction and other quantum physics methods to sort of bend the energy, the frequency, in a way that is a misaligned frequency to sort of draw people in. And they may be able to have one round of success, but then they'll hit burnout, they'll hit fatigue, they'll hit imposter syndrome, or their energy will speak after that, so that people will go, oh no, actually that doesn't feel right, we want to stay away from that. So there has been a lot of that in the last sort of 2 to 3 years, this scrambling to get to the top as fast as you can, because it's been very much about, the trend for the last few years has been very much about how fast you can make money. It's all been about how fast you can make money, how fast can you transform into being this idealized, successful version of a coach or entrepreneur. So this has seen this massive increase within noise, unethical behavior, mismatch, misaligned energy within this whole coaching structure. So what is about to occur now, towards the last half of this year and into 2024, you will see this industry collapse. When we say collapse, if you can imagine the structure, because the weight of the people within it exceeds the framework's ability to hold that amount of people within this framework. So it is very much at this sort of choking point, at this, it's currently struggling under the weight. It's at that moment of, if you can imagine like a grandstand packed with hundreds of thousands of people, and there's too many people on the seats, and the stands can't support all of that weight. So sooner or later, it's going to fall. So this is where this industry is. It's at that point of overload. This is where this person who has sent this question is. She's sort of coming in now at this very late stage, and she's seeing all the noise at the very top, at the peak, and she's seeing people sort of scrambling over each other and trying to fight over each other and jumping steps and things like that. And she's like, oh my gosh, this is overwhelming. How, like, it's like almost like an ant's hill. It's like, where do I even begin? I can't even see like my place on that hill. I can't even see where I could possibly, stand. There's no space. So it's like, what do I do? I'm standing here, she's sort of standing there at the very foot of this hill going, I can't even see where to take the first step. Or she can take like a couple steps, and then she sort of crumbles, the footing beneath her crumbles, and she's like, oh, I'm back to here, and maybe I can try to get up this way, or maybe I can try to get up that way. What we would say to her is, the clearer path to achieve what she's wanting to achieve, which is a more self-actualized version of herself. In this more self-actualized version of herself is a person who is comfortable with who they are. They're content with who they are. They accept and love and take ownership and responsibility for all of who they are. They're very loving, generous, kind, and giving. They know their self-worth. They know their abundance. They claim their birthright in that respect. They know their level of knowledge and expertise. They don't try to go any further beyond that. They are willing to be at peace and accept where they are with their experience, their knowledge, their training, to at that point where they know that they can help people, meet people at. And when they are in this sort of the beginning of this actualized state, they're already sort of at that top level before they've even begun to enter. But what happens is that they enter into a slipstream that bypasses all the noise. Their energy, their message is clear and it's profound. It will shake and rattle the walls, because it's kind of like, imagine walking into a party. It's 8 o'clock at night, the party's in full swing, everyone's already sort of found their place in the room in the party, and they've got their little groups and they're having their little cocktails with their conversations. The party's in full swing, the music's playing in the background, the conversations are in full swing. How can you imagine like walking into a party like this and you're on your own and you're like, oh, I feel really awkward. I don't really know anybody here. Should I go and approach them over there? Should I maybe try and approach that over there? I don't quite know. So you sort of, might very shyly sort of stumble around and see if somebody will look you in the eye, and maybe find someone else who might be standing on their own in the corner and maybe go talk to them. Or look around the room. Is there a familiar voice or face in here that I can go to, right? So if you imagine if you walk into this party, you're wearing, it doesn't matter what you're wearing, you walk in, you're full of confidence. You fully accept and have integrated as much of yourself as you can. You're fully aligned with the truth of who you are, your message, what it is that you do. You've refined it. You've refined your work. You've refined it and peeled back the layers and peeled back the layers to get to the absolute depths of what it is that you do and how you help people. And you walk in with this level of confidence that sort of says, I don't need to actually fit in. I don't need to sort of find my spot in the party. I can stand here in the doorway, in the entryway, and people will notice me. And I'll just stand here. My energy will speak for itself. My energy will be an invitation for people to approach. And gradually people will go, oh, they'll take notice. Who's that? Wow, she looks amazing. I like how she looks. I like how she feels. I'm going to go over there and check that out. So this is a much clearer energy here, that we are saying that what it is and what it shows is a deeper level of work, of inner work, that is sort of required to get to this new level, this new way, where your frequency is so clear, it is so calm, it is so centered, it is so confident and reassured within itself and of itself, that it doesn't shake, it doesn't move, it doesn't wobble. And it will eloquently and gracefully say, I'm going this way. I'm going over here. I'm not going up that pyramid. I just can't even, that's just not for me. So she takes a different path. And on the way, she'll meet other people. And then she may, see, this is where we would suggest is a natural rearranging here. What you're going to see is the people who are more clearer in their vibration and frequency will sort of go off on their own and do it, find their own way and do it their own way, which we'll get into the qualities of that a bit more in a minute. But as they do this, they will gather people on their way. And you will find you'll have groups of 5, 6, 7 people, maybe even sometimes more in much larger groups, that will come together with a unique voice and a unique message. You see, this is the biggest path of transformation here that is currently underway here on Earth, is that over the years, yes, you've got all these people sort of coming into this industry, wanting to climb this pyramid to, in for each other, in for themselves, so that they can get out of it. But what you've actually had within that energy is this soulful activation of people who are being called as a representation of the voice of the divine, where the voice of the divine is saying, okay, you have chosen to be a part of this message. We want to send this key message out to the world and to reach as many people as we can. To do that, we actually need 20 different voices on this one subject, because each of you will have each of your own unique viewpoint, your own experiences, your own energy, your own take on it, your own opinion on it, your own angle to it. And we need like an army of people on one subject that can go out and help to bring this message out. So this was the true purpose of the activation of where people were originally driven into this sort of into this spiritual coaching industry, the original activation was this feeling at some level being called into service and working on behalf of the divine for the community. But people have sort of been sucked into this funnel of this coaching industry, and they've sort of been stuck going up and down the layers, up and down the layers. Okay, well, I sort of got up a step here, but I didn't get up to that step, so I need to go over here and try this way to get up there. And, you know, they're sort of looking around, looking for that ladder to keep climbing up this. The main purpose of this activation, okay, we want you to think of it as an activation, not an industry. Dismantle the idea of industry. And if you can reformulate the idea as a structure of a purpose, of an activation, so that, you know, within your greater community, there is so many different people, and you may not get along, or you may not connect or be able to resonate with or communicate with every single person that you meet. Like, there's just some people that you just don't have that connection, or you just don't click, right? So, but when you have 20 of you, that's why, because spirit, you know, the universe knew that it would take that many different personalities and that many different people on the one subject to reach the greater whole. So this is the purpose of the industry, really. Currently, where it is at the moment is quite fragmented. There's still a lot of competition and still a lot of ego within this. And it is very fragmented. So it's very disjointed, very a lot of very unclear messaging on subjects, which is making a lot of the noise and a lot of the confusion. Where their message should have been amplified as a whole, it's actually become just really distorted. It's almost like two speakers turned facing each other, and the noise is, you know, facing each other instead of being turned forward and facing outwards. So what is needed here is those that decide to step off the pyramid, to step into their own path, to get really clear into owning all parts of themselves, being really clear on who they are, be really clear on their values, what's important to them, what they represent, what they stand for. That is key, first of all. They need to get very, very clear on what it is that they stand for and what they represent and what they are passionate about, what lights them up, what area of the world do they want to play a part in improving. Then when they've got that, they need to work on their, it's kind of like a convergence point of a mixture of things. It's their past experiences, it's their story. Perhaps it might be a family history or a family lineage. It might be a story that's been passed through generations that they've carried, and they've been given that torch to carry forward. And it may also then blend with, say, courses they've taken or trainings or education that they've had or knowledge that they've picked up. So there's a layer of education there. Then there's a layer of growth, of experience. So what physical experience have they got that ties all of this together? What has been their experience through this? Because if you can imagine, one subject has many different ways, many different paths that someone can experience that. So if you think about love, you know, there's millions of ways in which a person can experience love in all of its different forms. So it would be about, okay, well, if my key theme here is love, how does it all tie together in my life? What is it that connects all the dots with whether it's my story, my family's story, my history, my lineage, with that aspect, tying that with my knowledge, my experience, my first-hand experience, what I've lived, what I've learned, or what I've studied, connecting it with that, to then go, okay, well, what's my unique, this will give that person their unique viewpoint of that subject. And that's what will unite all of their energy, help to really clearly refine and define where they stand within this conversation. That way, when they go on their path and they meet other people, these other people, if they've done the same work, they will be very clear in their own energy. So you won't have this distortion of energy. You won't have someone's message sort of bleeding over into someone else's message, or someone else's idea bleeding into other people's. Everybody knows their role. Everybody knows their part to play. So then you can get 10 or 20 people within that same spectrum of a subject who can all sit in the same space. They will all be anchors of light, of a representation of this one subject, that they can then be a force to share that message from the divine to the universe. From this place, this is where they can make a much bigger impact and really shake. They will really be able to shake up industries. They'll really be able to sort of shake the foundations of old ways, old outdated methods and old outdated teachings and beliefs and practices. So this will be the new way forward, but these people need to get clearer. So what you're actually seeing right now, well, you're already actually seeing there is an exodus of people that are sort of scrambling to get out of this, but they're sort of a bit lost and confused and not really sort of knowing. We know that there's a different way, but we just don't quite know yet. And there's already many thousands who have already started down this path for the last few years. They've just gone straight in and they're already so clear that they're just off and running on their own. So this is sort of the next trend that you'll start to see sort of by the end of probably from October of this year onwards, and definitely more so cascading into 24 and 25. You'll see this sort of merging, the realization of people that if they come together of the same subject, but all having their own viewpoint and their own position to share on that they can have much greater impact and have it as almost like schools of thought, and having it as a much bigger resource and way, people could, within that 20 people could go, okay, let's 2 or 3 of us, let's get together and teach this. And then, 5 of us can teach that. And then we can sort of swap over and change it around a bit and have much more impact and much more meaningful conversations in that way. So that's the first sort of major shift that we see with this industry. The coaching industry as it is, it is dismantling, but there will still be hangers on. There will still be the ones who are so stuck in their ways and in their egos that they're like, no, I have got to be the best in this, so I'm going to stay here and hold on to this. So by all means, let them go and follow that path. But those who are being called to a more conscious, a lighter, freer way of whether you call it success or following their path or following what lights them up, then this is a much clearer way. Now, the other question here is relating to consciousness. Having this level of consciousness, we would call it more responsibility and awareness within this industry. There is very much a lack of standard and code of conduct for the greater part in this, which also sort of muddies the energy here. You've got many people that are sort of trying to do their best and, trying to be fair and trying to have, very clear boundaries and contracts and containers and things like that. But there's so much variation within that. Okay. So this question around doing more conscious marketing, conscious business, what does that mean? For us, where we sit, it is still another muddied representation of the pyramid. Although they're just trying to create like another platform. It's like, okay, well, we can't fit into the pyramid anywhere. Okay, well, we're just going to sort of try and build like another building block up the side and we'll go up this way. So again, it doesn't really it's not really sort of creating a new way as such under that term. Now, in saying that, what there is this more movement towards conscious creation and the imprint of our energy, our words, our actions on other people. It is wanting to find fairer systems of the way that work that still honor your time, your value, your worth, your knowledge, your experience, still honoring all of that, but having very clear foundations and very clear containers around, how you work, and it sets up a more conscious agreement. See, currently, within this pyramid, there's a lot of marketing tactics in there that are very sort of, fear of missing out energy there, that sort of use those sort of sales tactics to get people to sign up. They use that sort of pressure and guilt and, lack of self-worth to push people into their funnels. Not everybody, again, we say not everybody, we're talking more generally. So when you're more aligned and you're more conscious, what this means is that you have a very clear energy, you have a very clear intent of what it is, of who you are here to work with, who you are here to help, how are you here to help them, in what way you are going to deliver that service. So it's all very clear, it's open, people can see exactly what it is. And then there's a conscious agreement of going, okay, well, I like what you're saying, but I know that if I step into your container, I'm going to have parts of me activated where I'm going to feel confronted by your work, or I may feel confronted by your words, or I may struggle to, whether it's like take on your beliefs or whatever. The other person, the client, there is a level of responsibility there. There's more conscious, to use that word, a more conscious level of choosing to interact with that service in a way that I will take full responsibility here. And so it is more of a soul level understanding between two or more people or groups of people, that it's stepping into an energetic connection where you've got two people, for example, coming together. You're coming together and stepping into a framework that will then help to, the correct word, project, help a person to transcend that part of their life goals. So it is more of a open conversation, a transparent conversation. Transparency is the key word here moving forward, that it becomes more of a, more so understanding that at the deepest level of the work, of the, if a person is saying, well, I work in this field, this is what I help people with, this is what I help you overcome, or this is how I help you transform, the other person says, okay, well, I am willing to step into that, and I can see the transparency of what you're offering, and I understand there will be activations within myself of that work showing me, for example, how it is that I need to realign and reshape my energy to get the results that I'm needing for my own self-actualization process. So it's kind of like people given the opportunity to step into a container at a more clearer understanding that the other key theme here is that we wish to mention is the real key here. It's around self-actualization. A lot of the big noise, a lot of the noise that's in this pyramid is courses and services that are fun, they're quirky, they're unique, they're different, but they don't actually transform. They don't actually help a person to get to that next level of who they are. So anyone who has the service or has the gift to help a person to take them to the next level of who they are, that is going to be the key here. It is going to really, you'll see an exodus in the clients who will be going, okay, well, I'm sick and tired of spending my money on courses and programs that are fun. It's like trying like a really different quirky course just because it's like a really different edge, a different take on a subject. And it's, while it may be like an interesting concept, it actually doesn't give them the nuts and bolts of their transformation. So there is a very large exodus coming within clients, within the people who are looking for sort of self-help, or they're looking for that help with that transformation, that they're just going, you know what, I'm sick of spending my money on stuff that actually is just, a lot of it's just rubbish, it's noise, it actually doesn't add value to my life. I want it to add value to my life. I want it to add meaning to my life. So the first step, if we were to say, okay, people are leaving this pyramid of noise into this more clearer pathway, you know, where we said before, the practitioners need to get really clear on who they are. You know, what do you value? What's important to you? What's your own values? That is the first step that is key for helping people who are wanting to shift out of this pyramid and really get results, really get that self-actualization that they're looking for. They need to get really clear on what it is, who they are, what values they have, what makes them up, you know, what parts of them, what do they stand for? You know, what is in the most important thing? Helping people to get very clear on that, first of all, is the entry point into this newer, much clearer way. And this is where people will really get that trajectory that they're seeking, that really accelerated path to learning, when they get really clear on what it is that they need to know about themselves, or refine about themselves, or improve about themselves. But they need to know who they are, first of all. They need processes that brings them back to that starting point of, who am I? Who am I? What do I stand for? And you, to find that out is through the values and what they stand for that we've mentioned. So that would be the entry point. That would be the starting point to help to get that really clear for people. And then from there, it's like, okay, then they can choose, okay, well, I want to work on my self-esteem. I want to work on self-confidence. I want to work on self-love. And then from that point, they can then branch out into these other groups. Okay, you've got a group of 20 people over there that are teaching self-love. Within that 20 people, there's all these different voices. You will find the one or the group that resonates the most with you, and off you go. And it's a much clearer pathway for them, for their learning. Then they might enter into that sort of portal of self-love. They'll experience self-love. You know, they'll have 20 different stories of people's own lived experiences of how they found self-love. And they will be able to immerse themselves into all of those different aspects and experience self-love from all of those different lived experiences. The key correlation here is what we want you to understand, is that normally a person would have to go through multiple lifetimes to get that experience. So what this activation at the core of this industry, what is activated, is the bringing together of the lifetimes in one lifetime, so that the soul can, it's almost like the facets of the diamond. Imagining a diamond, and it's a diamond of self-love. It's got all the different facets, and all the different facets of all the different people within that group who have got their own different facet. And that one person can merge into that group and experience all of those different facets within that container. So it really condenses, crystallizes, clears, and sort of multiplies the exponential growth in this lifetime, that they no longer need to take multiple lifetimes to experience all these lessons. They can step into a group where there's 20 people that have, or it can bring to the table all of these different aspects that they can then listen to the stories, you know, be immersed in the stories, meet the people, talk to them, get their experience of it, so they can experience it in that way. So this is, you know, this is what we've just explained there, was sort of more the original intention, the more purer intention for this activation of energy within this sort of self-help field. It sort of started off blossoming more into that way, and then it sort of got hijacked into this more masculine energy here. So the more that people can move into this, the first step, helping people to realize who they are, what they stand for, what's important to them, their values, etc., and then moving them into, okay, well, your soul is here to learn, or you're perhaps where you feel most weakest, or you're most vulnerable. is this subject. Okay, well, let's get you started on there. Let's move you into that direction. And here's a group of people ready to help you. So, and then as we said, once they've sort of experienced that self-love from all the different angles that they possibly can, they can step out of that and go, okay, well, I want to move into self-confidence. I want to really step into that really vibrant, outlandish, loud, expressive, version of me. So then they'll move into the next container. Or they may want to go into, okay, how do I write a book? Let's, step into that container. So this is sort of the original sort of framework here, and it is very much now getting cleared out. This pyramid, there's structure. It's sort of at that point where it's struggling to hold the weight of the people that are in that. And there's sort of like, there's some people that are going, okay, I can actually see what's coming. I want to get out of here now before this gets out of control, and there's like an avalanche of fallout from when this breaks. So they're already sort of people sort of clambering down, getting out and making their own way. So this is what we would see as the clearest path for people who are truly wanting to work within this field, have the purest of heart energy, who see the misalignment within the spiritual or self-improvement or coaching industry. They can see the energy, they can see the misalignment in there. They don't want to step into that, but they're like, but how else do I do this? How else can I do this? Well, this is how the other way is, how it was supposed to be. So that is a very sort of a broad introduction, really, on this subject, and it's enough to give people like a very good starting point and help them to get a lot clearer. So there's a lot of inner work that each individual, if they're stepping into this path, needs to do. If they can't do the inner work to get really aligned with their energy and who they are, they won't progress. It's as simple as that. So the more that a person, even if a person goes, okay, well, I'm going to pull back even for 6 months and realign myself and get so much more stronger and clearer, and then then they will fly. So this is actually probably from March onwards, you will see, you may see people going, oh, I'm actually stepping back for a while. I need to step back. I'm confused as my path. I've lost my passion. I've lost my purpose. I actually need to take a break. And this is what they'll be doing. And they'll re-emerge on the other side of it clearer. Their energy will be so clear. They'll be so confident. They'll be so energetic. They'll be so ready to launch. So in saying all of this, so that the first step for the practitioner is to come back to themselves, to get really, really, and this is what the energies of this year is about. It's going to be really pushing people to get, you really think you know who you are? Well, guess what? We're actually going to take you deeper. We're actually going to peel back the layers of who you thought you were. And perhaps who you thought you were, your personality may have worked for the last 5 years, but it's actually not going to take you into this next stage. So you actually need to come back in, dismantle even your identity and who you thought you were, come back to the core of who you are and rediscover and refine who you are, because your needs change, your priorities change, what you stand for, what you value changes as you grow. So it really is a refining year to come back in and redefine this. And then once they've taken themselves through that process, then they will be that first line, that first port of call to take people through that process. So that is the first step. It is really important that we suggest that the more that can do that, the more that will position them to really be able to assist moving forward. We thank you very much for your time. It is always our honour and our privilege and our joy to come and speak with you, and we look forward to more opportunities soon. Thank you. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that has given you a lot of insight. There's a lot of information in there. I know it has certainly been insightful for myself as well. So I would love to hear your feedback on that one. And thank you very much for watching. Cheers.